as it does look like, given the top esports loss, I'm going to guess they selected first pick and AL selected blue side. And folks, frankly, I think that this is a bit of the meta that I'm expecting to see. I think that you're either going to be picking first or counter pick, and then everyone else gets blue side. Blue side has advantages over red side, given plane, given skill shot accuracy. There are better resources and videos for that at home than I can explain right here on the cast, even though it may or may not be my job, as the Z access in the river in League of Legends can get a little bit funky, and one that you might want to look at home. But Jarvan has been a very dominant pick that we've had so far in this early season, if that ends up being first pick for top esports. Not going to be the case. It's going to be 369's Rumble emerging in the top side. So curious if we get a Cassante or an Aurora answer for Flandre. Rek'Sai still going to be on the table, but given the Rumble showing, would not be surprised to see a very early Cassante come out for AL. That's been a matchup that I feel like has been mostly Cassante-sided so far this early season. And of course, Varus has been one of the premier power picks that we have had in the meta. As okay, Cassante might be saved for 3. Jarvan will say of note in the LPL, as I get around, Jarvan actually is 12-3 so far in the league. That's a pretty filthy win-loss in this early season. I think that he's really benefited off the fact that the game's a bit faster, and he specializes in getting flashes and then playing at a flash deficit between the Flag and Drags and the Cataclysm. So definitely feel like he's been buffed up just by the changes made this season, but we have seen some good Jarvan play so far in the LPL. And MF, being played into it, definitely vulnerable to Cataclysms and Flag and Drags. So we'll see if that's something that JiaQi can play around. All right, no Cassante, guys. We got Rise locked in for Shanks. So disparity in terms of the roles that we have showing. Assume that we're going to have a couple of top lane bans. I think Cassante and Aurora, both likely ban targets here for top esports. They try and protect that Rumble on the top side. Meanwhile, Orianna, Azir already out of the pool. That does kind of help Rise in the mid lane. We'll see what else they want to take away from Creme. As we'll say, Creme really does specialize in melee champions. I think Yone is a pretty valid ban there to help out with the Rise, especially with the magic damage showing from the Rumble. Curious what else, though, they want to take away is usually against Rise, you want to play range, a little bit of poke. So interested to see if they want to take Victor away as well. Or they could, I guess, ban out some junglers. Always going to be an option too. As Bard going to be taken away from Kael, definitely a specialty pick for Kael that we have. And yeah, that's going to be a jungle taken away. Going to be Vi. As no guaranteed cease and assist will be available to NaiYou. Think, when we do have Jarvan versus Xin Zhao, that's a matchup that we could see this game. Xin definitely has that brute force ability to stat check the Jarvan, but the ability for Jarvan to play around that terrain, the Flag and Drag, the Cataclysm, quite nice. So, curious if that ends up being the case that NaiYou wants to take. Of course, AL, they did have, it was top esports after the loss they got choice, so their first pick, AL chose blue side, so we have the flip-flop pick bans that you guys are going to get used to seeing likely throughout Split 1. We'll see if this continues throughout the year 2. This might just be Leona for Kael. Definitely could add some pressure to MF with that Solar Flare to answer those bullet times, and does provide a lot of stats early on. We'll say, though, that Merc Shred value for top esports quite high already between Leona and Rise showing, and even Varus with those chains of corruption as well. Get a little bit of value against the tenacity.
I'm back!
Wow, you changed your mind. Our friendship's not over, Raafaa.
Okay. Somehow, I don't know what happened. Router just crashed or something. Maybe it wasn't a fan of what Creme did on the thing.
I think that you know what happened. You just don't know how it crashed.
Sure.
Trying to get you back into the English and the casting ways here, Raafaa.
Thank you.
You were abandoning me for draft, and
I was not abandoning you for draft. I like.
You were trying to.
Your thoughts on draft. No.
What are your thoughts on draft? We have a Wukong now against the Jarvan.
You got a Wombo Combo Comp from Top Esports, which, whenever teams are struggling, you just got a bunch of champions that want to press all their ultimates together and then just hope for the best. Creme Akali going back to comfort. He's played one Akali game from my memory so far this split. It was not a win, and it did not look great.
He got turboed by Night.
He got blasted. It was not a good look.
Oh, please do this. Oh, my God. I think that this is like GG. This is GG. Why did you... If we're going to pick Akali, why did we not ban Galio instead of Cassante? I feel like Galio makes this game so easy now for AL. It is Cataclysm. It is heroic entrance from Galio. The lockdown's real. The only thing that I'll say is that Merctred's going to feel really good on the side of top esports this game. I think Merctred's get a lot of value here. And I think Wukong definitely can have a big impact on this game as a tank shredder. This front line, especially if it ends up being Poke Varus, if Wukong can play around that with his W, could open up some space, some angles here. But I really don't like the fact that they went Akali, gave over the Galio when you already have the Rumble matchup showing top. For me, this would have been worth banning both the K'Sante and the Galio and leaving up the Bard, or I would consider taking the Galio away instead of the K'Sante if you wanted to go Akali like this.
Top esports, the only thing I can say for them is that you have to hope that composition and what anyone's legend drafted for themselves does not matter if you can just outplay them and hands check them. But that wasn't the case in game 1, and it has not necessarily been a reliable strategy for this iteration of top esports so far in split 1. So hopes are not high on this one, but anything can happen if you can at least put all the champions together and synchronize your ultimates and catch anyone's legends by surprise. That being said, this is 1-0 up for anyone's legend in this series. Let's see how it all unfolds in game 2.
I gotta say, those hit nice after having done in game 1, Raafaa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gyos are definitely one of my favorite parts about casting the LPL. The fandom always shows up strongly, especially for our more popular teams, which usually tends to be on Group Ascend.
Ooh, cashback and elixirs for both of our ADs here. Definitely a little bit more standard this year, but nice to see them taking advantage of some of the new tech. Of course, speaking of new tech, only other thing we got to talk about, I think it's common for most fans at home now seeing a Ryze with Ghost in the mid lane, but definitely seeing the Taliyah, the Ryze, some of these champions that can abuse movement across the map, taking Ghost as an extra summoner spell. It really makes Ryze powerful because your ability to hunt for those empowered rune prisons in the fight just increased all that much more when you are able to take something like Ghost. So we'll see if Shanks can make the most of it. He is a fantastic Ryze player, and I really feel like this map, it's going to be him and Tarzan. They are the ones that have the ability to control this map, given the picks they have. Oh boy, that's a big milestone here for 369.
Hell yeah. Shout out to 369. Today is his 700th game in the LPL. That makes for the 11th most games played of any player still playing in the LPL so far. So shout out to him ever since he came onto the scene in 2019.
And one of the best we have in the region. Definitely been a fan favorite. I think outside of just, the 3s, the 6s, and the 9s, or whatever you're running. Nice. 369 going to be on the Rumble this time around. We'll say, something else that I know I teased in game 1. Flandre now, 7-1 on Cyan and Rek'Sai, 0-3 on the rest. Galio technically falls outside of that, but still is a tank. So really, this, I'd say, narrower identity for Flandre continuing in this early year. Definitely something where, I mean, again, when it comes to Flandre's champion pool, I think he's always had a little bit of flair to it.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of the success of AL, like, between the different splits they had last year, some of it for me was pending on, what Flandre's champion pool was and how effective it was as well. So see if that can continue to be effective. He's definitely a good Galio player.
Wait a minute. Really good follow-up. Flash Hope. Nicely done. Even after the flash, you cannot dodge an auto attack, JiaQi, and First Blood comes up huge for Kael and Hope.
I'm waiting for this to drop because I thought I saw an MF playing against Leona, Varus, Ryze, Galio. Okay, we do have Cleanse. That's good, but I mean, I don't really know what to say there, Raafaa. There's a lack of barrier, and you're opting into fighting Varus, Leona this early. That's not a great strategy.
Oh my god, that was too easy for Tarzan and Flandre. I mean, 369 does manage to flash the knockup, but he flashed in range of an empowered auto attack from Galio.
Well, much like last game, Raafaa, we have both side lanes going sideways early on in one way, shape, or form. Last game, it was JiaQi getting the best of Hope. This time around, let's see. I mean,
oh, well timed.
That's a really nice. Oh, it's just a late cleanse. I hate to say it, Raafaa, but I feel like JiaQi was a little bit faster on the cleanse trigger.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think what was nice, though, and I'm definitely down to just hype up, is that the communication between Hope and Kael was really in sync, waiting to start revving up the arrow as Kael probably calmed. I have Q coming up in a couple seconds, and then once the Q comes up for Kael, Hope is already like at max channel for the arrow.
That replay was actually really reassuring for myself as a caster, because I was stuttering seeing if JiaQi was taking barrier or cleanse, and it just turns out the cleanse was so late that I don't feel bad anymore. Okay, that goes sideways. Dive in. Good night.
Wow.
Yep.
2-man knockup, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Fengyue, of course, is not going to go down in that trade, so it doesn't need to burn any summer spells, but because JiaQi has no sums, it's super easy. And now this is a very much bona fide anyone's legend early game. Credit to Tarzan on the Jarvan of being able to impact both top lane and bot lane. But, of course, Hope and Kael were able to open the doors for him so that it's just easy to shut it down.
I really don't like this draft from Top Esports, I'm like looking at it now, too. They've already lost pretty hard on both side lanes. What do we talk about coming into this is a consistent factor. The Rise and the Jarvan probably can run this mid-jungle duo early on. What do we see early on? Tarzan's been getting very active on the map. Shanks is able to join him for the bot roam too. I really think that Akali, like, it doesn't give you much agency at all out of the mid lane. It's really tough to reach poke Varus with anything. But it's kind of frustrating for me. Just that's salt in the wind. It's really frustrating for me to like seeing a team like Top that did have so much direction with Cubby and JiaQi, and like whenever I watched them, it was very clear there was a game plan. And without those two members, this team looks like they're talking about how each other's day was as they spawned in the Rift, instead of talking about the game or like what's going on. The sense of urgency just doesn't exist the way it did when Cubby was on the team.
Doesn't seem like win cons are being talked about for lane matchups. It doesn't seem like there is a sense of, okay, at this point in the game, we can play around this lane. At this point in the game, we can play around this lane. They're just kind of flipping and seeing and hoping for the best. And Tarzan's going to revisit bot lane. Cleanse is available for JiaQi, but you cannot cleanse a knockup. Does cleanse the stun, but that just makes it easier for Tarzan to lay down the CC. Kael tanks up the turret aggro beautifully, and it's now 2 kills for Hope total on the Varus.
Yeah, Varus taken on 2. It was the Rumble first pick for Top Esports, and I mean, this has all happened before the Wombo has really even been able to come online, Raafaa. Like we have Fengyue that's level 6 and JiaQi is level 5.
Oh my god, it's the Exalted Viego skin. Nice. LPL broadcast recognizing that this game is already looking pretty toast for Top Esports, so you might as well get your marketing in. Guys, you cannot see this, but on Cubby's camera right now that I'm looking at, he is just
incredibly
stun-locked.
perplexed. I am so perplexed.
The staff Discord right now is discussing, guys, was that a Huya ad or is that an LPL ad? And I'm pretty sure it was an LPL ad. Well, Tarzan's going to contest NaiYou on this Grub pit. NaiYou does secure 1 with the smite, but the Cyclone does buy some time. Tarzan deciding whether he wants to flash out of the pit or not. Equalizer comes through, and Tarzan ends up going down swinging. Wait a minute. Can Creme pop off here? Realm Warp is used to reposition Shanks out of danger. Flandre didn't go through. What? How'd that happen?
All right, we're
Creme's
back.
about to get a triple kill right here.
The game's
Top
back.
Esports.
Woo.
They might be back in the game.
All that needed to happen was for Tarzan to throw an EQ into the fog and to see what happens. And you know what? It didn't come up AL's way as that fogged up Jarvan. This was NaiYou able to get the best of the duel between the fighters in the pit. And the lockdown that comes in afterwards, I mean, this is the fight that Top Esports wants. It's the one that they drafted for. It's the early game Wombo. And they walk right into it. AL does. as the equalizer over the top. I mean, this is beautifully layered. He's even finding Shanks in the back half. Wonderful equalizer from 369 in his 700th game in the LPL. And then Flandre. This happens, you know, with Rise. It takes into account your next click. You have to continue to click in the circle. He might have clicked outside of the circle, and he didn't join. That has been a bug that has been investigated frequently, especially in Europe. And that's why I remember that one. But that's why he is not able to follow. And that's a big flub for me from AL. They played right into the hands of what Top wants to do in their draft there.
Good flash by Creme to get out of the solar flare. But it is now on Akali without a summoner spell. She still has TP, so can port back to mid lane and pick up the wave. But that's a pretty big win for Top Esports to stave off the gold advantage that was pretty much going anyone's Legends way off the first 8 minutes of the game there.
Yeah, consequences of that, too, is going to be Creme hits that Gunblade early. So he's going to be a very happy camper.
It's a big opportunity for Creme to be the hero and the star of the second game and push this series to a game 3. 5 stacks on the Dark Seal. The Gunblade you mentioned, 2-0-1 on the Akali, is down a flash, so he's got to be a little bit careful about how he picks his moments in the next 4 minutes while that summoner spell is down. But
fine, man. He's got W.
Yeah.
Press W, it's all okay.
Yeah, and just
good pick up for Creme.
Just got to know his limits.
Creme Akali, always been a classic pick for him. Again, I mean, when it comes to Creme, my thing is just growth. Like, we need to see this player grow. He's always been a great melee player. He's always been a great Akali player. But where, like, the growth for him, this is the make or break year for me, for Creme. And I feel like I talked about Creme like that last year. And I really felt like this team last year went as far as Creme could take them. And that split 1 victory they had, like the road that Creme went through in terms of the gauntlet of all-time great LPL mids to win that split 1 title. We really felt like last year it could have been a good year for Creme, and he just wasn't able to capitalize off that split 1. The same likes that we saw Shanks really capitalize off that loss and fuel him to have a much better year and stronger year compared to Creme. So we'll see if this game Creme can take this lead on a specialty pick of his and find the win. Is currently this Dragon is going to be given away by AL. Top Esports, they had all the control. They have the strength right now, and AL going to go find luck elsewhere.
Let's see if they can catch out 369. Has a flash available, so if Tarzan does lead with the Cataclysm, can easily get out before Heroic Entrance comes through for the Wombo. Surprised the Top Esports were able to secure the Dragons so easily, despite Hope having a distinct advantage in this bot lane, but as you called out, mid-jungle advantage, Wukong being on that Trinity Force, Gunblade for Creme. It's a scary prospect, and Hope, he has flash, but the Chain of Corruptions does not really work out in the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, nicely done by NaiYou to be able to get over that ultimate. And now, I don't think it was a shutdown off of Hope, but it is a way to slow down this Varus from accelerating.
Well played, NaiYou. Nice flash there. As Hope doesn't have access to that TP, so more waves will be lost. Tarzan answering, taking away camps on the top side, and Creme flashless.
Rune Prison could layer up the EQ. Oh, barely misses the knockup.
Well played, Creme.
Creme doesn't want to... Okay, I thought he was going to look for maybe a second cast of the perfect execution, but it would put him in a pretty precarious position. Probably not enough to finish off Shanks, but at least it's a decent look to burn off the ultimate.
It was a very smart ultimate by Creme. Bought enough space away from the Flag and Drag where it couldn't connect. And yeah, I mean, that Tarzan Flag and Drag, you might be like, oh, he shorted it, but he had to cast it within the CC timer in order to guarantee the connect. So I think that was kind of an acceptable miss. But well played by Creme to manage the gank. And now, I mean, we're at a game state, Raafaa. We're Top Esports. Gold's even. First 2 Drakes are in their pockets. They won out of the Grub fight. And this AL, I mean, after they got off to that 4-0 start, we haven't seen them find the foothold again. Now, this is a team where they can wombo with the likes of Top Esports, and their summoner spells are kind of back up and back active. So curious to see where they can go with this next sequence. And I also like to see the fact that I think one of the nice features this game, Rise into Rumble, another very good matchup that they can play. It feels like they have 2 solo laners who can match top solo laners in either lane. And frankly, like, I would have advantage Rise, advantage Galio, regardless of who they face. So interested to see if AL can kind of play around with those matchups and maybe use that to find some timers or windows.
We don't have another dragon coming up for some time, 2 minutes and 35 seconds. But Herald is spawning in about 45. And as you called out and suspected, Top Esports are starting to pick up a bunch of Merc Treads, mostly on their solo laners so far, yet to be tier 2 boots cited for both the jungle and the ADC. Top Esports are already trying to assemble position for this Rift Herald fight 30 seconds before it starts up, but they're looking for Fengyue first, and NaiYou just says, I'm sorry, friend, I cannot bail you out. Tarzan already pressuring JiaQi out of the pit, but they don't finish off Fengyue, so he escapes.
TP. I think the TP takes honestly pretty nice, because this is far enough before Rift Herald where this gives AL options. They can play into the Rift Herald, or they can also play away from it.
Creme doesn't have flash. Or it might just be coming up soon.
Look at NaiYou. NaiYou's not spotted.
Waiting for the moment. Cyclone at the ready. Kael's going to face check into the Wukong. Fengyue stuns up for now. Top Esports forced to give up their position and cannot commit to the flank, but it does allow Creme to get back in space.
That was honestly good defense there from top, because 369 got this wave in. Again, this is unanswered currently. So that early TP that was used, I thought AL might be able to play away from it. Instead, they kind of play off into the top side. They don't find any win on the engage. They don't really get a health bar win either, which I think is a big deal. Because at the moment, 369 is jailing the Rise.
The only person that they chunked out... Yeah, they only chunked out Fengyue, but everyone else is pretty healthy to look for the play. It does force out the TP from Flandre. NaiYou, Jink brings it to 3K. They're looking for 369 on the left side. NaiYou's forced out of the pit. The bullet... What? He still secured the Rift Herald over the wall! That's crazy! Top Esports now looking for the re-engage equalizer. Forces anyone's legend to split up. Tarzan flashing after Creme, trying to finish off the Akali in the back line. Fengyue, can he stop him from getting on top of Creme? He backs away for now. 369 steps up, turns on the Jets. JiaQi getting assassinated on the right side from Shanks' Rise. But the rest of Top Esports are starting to corral. They want to be able to fight through their way on the front line, but Shanks collapsing in forces Top Esports to retreat. 369 getting slowed now, and the rest of anyone's legend can finally run him down with arrows in the back. Anyone's legend. It was a weird fight. They're going to continue the play. The taunt does not connect, but it sets up hope to find a triple. Can he get more? The turret aggro is ramping up, so anyone's legend dropping for now.
So I think the stall around this, Top Esports play this out a little bit slow, and it hurts them. And AL, the way they played out this slow fight, I feel like they baited top in again in a very inopportune moment, and were really able to punish. I need a replay, because like so many things happen so chaotically in this. And first off, great steal from NaiYou. Like, yeah, the Rift Herald's here, but this engage, where top is already positioned, I kind of hate. They're way too split up for what needs to happen, and Kael picking that part of the fight was very good. Because now look at what happens with JiaQi. He can't get in. It takes him forever to try and get into this fight. And once he does, again, AL is able to keep the split on two flanks for the entirety of it. Like, JiaQi cannot walk into the poke Varus because his front line is split. And Kael's initial engage was really good because it made sure that the Rumble, the Rel, like, couldn't be the front line that JiaQi needed. And yeah, I mean, Top Esports just, they got baited in too far again here. They split up, and this fight was all AL. But I really feel like the engage from Kael picking the top side punished a poor setup for top, because they had MF only in a position to ult the objective. After that, JiaQi couldn't play out the fight from there, just given the positioning of his teammates and how AL went in. So I think that was a big setup flub from TES.
I mean, we talked about it in the pre-show, right? This is Top Esports assembling a composition that want to press all their ultimates at the same time on top of each other. It was very disjointed, and there's ultimates all coming down, but they're on different targets, and they're for different purposes. Like you said, two of them were used to either get out of the pit or just to finish off the objective. And now we have another fight on this top left side. NaiYou already spinning, trying to win the fight. Shanks is getting brought super low. Creme dashes in for the perfect execution, but already missed. Gets room prisoned up. Bullet time starting to rip through. Kael totally isolated. Tarzan and Shanks are forced to bail. And this time it's Top Esports that come up swinging.
Now that was really good by Creme and top, because they corralled them into the choke, and JiaQi was able to capitalize. Hope got caught out. Couldn't use the range of the poke Varus' advantage. The way that he was able to do so in the Herald fight, that wasn't available to him there because of the collapse from top. Very well played.
Gonna look for a collapse though. 369, no flash available, so Tarzan sends it for an immediate cataclysm into the full combo of both of his solo laners to follow up on top. We've got another dragon spawning, Not for some time now. Baron is coming up on the Rift in 50 seconds. Creme takes that time to push in the top tower.
Nice find from Creme. I like this turn from NaiYou. It looks like he was stuck, but again, picking one side of the fight. Powerful early here. And then the way that Hope positions, he doesn't want to walk into Wukong or walk down, but he kind of has to get away from JiaQi. So it ends up being a bit of indecision from AL, a great corral from Top Esports, and they find a nice win for themselves. And good terrain for the fight. Like, you can see how the terrain to that fight being so busy really benefited and helped Top layer all those circles that they have available to them.
Yeah, the mountain map with that extra little wall in the middle, it just made it so difficult for Hope to actually walk out of the little bit of collapse as easily as he would like. Top Esports currently ahead in the game, though. 2.2 thousand gold, 2 dragons to their name. This is a really nice spot for Top Esports to be in. I know that a couple of fights this game have been kind of wonky, but so far they have been winning a majority of the flips in the back half of this game, despite anyone's legend having a massive early game.
Nice invade here from Top. I don't know if AL can match this one. As the strength at Top still very real right now. And I don't really know exactly when AL kind of gets into this game or slingshots back in. Because this is MF where, you know, if we're going to get max items coming in, you're probably going to have bias towards the MF later on if she's able to auto. Wukong scales very nicely, and NaiYou is already at 2 items. I mean, he is huge in this game. And the Rumble Galio matchup, it ends up, like, if it goes to late, Rumble is good later on. He's the one that does the damage, isn't just the tank, and I think that he kind of gets his way back into this matchup later on now. Doesn't have the Conquer, but still. I'd interested to see, like, I think that AL has to really try and pick some of their spots here to fight, and I'm wondering when that timer is for them. And because I think the one giveaway for me so far would be maybe 3 items on Rise, but that's pretty far away.
I think anyone's legend also need to find windows where objectives are not easily available for Top Esports to take as a counter response. If they were to make like a side lane play, you have Heroic Entrance, you have Realm Warp. Jarvan can get around the map pretty darn fast once he has enough CDR under his belt. I think that's the only way that you can try and pick small advantages in the game if you are anyone's legend.
Now, I will say, I think that AL had a really nice dragon draw this game. They have some tankier members. Mountain's really going to help them survive and stack up those resistances. I think this was a good draw for them. Giving away these dragons would be quite dangerous, though, because they're rocking with a tank Galio, a poke Varus, and a Rise. So I think it's very important that they're able to secure these next couple of dragons just to make sure that those resistances are in their hands and not in the opponent's hands, where I do think that Mountain's pretty effective into the comp that AL has. So now they have Hope mid, and it is the poke Varus. Hope hasn't really been able to get a lot of poke down quite yet, and of course if he does connect on the JiaQi, that doesn't matter, as he's got the Bloodthirster. So wondering if kind of when you're going to see Shanks walking up. I think they need to get Hope in the river and start to get him looking at targets that are not just MF, because at the moment poke Varus is behind on the play. River control is in Top's hands, and that's very good against the poke comp.
Kael trying to brute force his way into that entrance right now, takes up a bit of damage. Flandre is going to come in to see if he needs to escort Hope into that river entrance and start laying down the piercing arrows as poke. But Creme is staying off vision and constantly pressuring the top side of the map. He has TP available, so if anyone's legend do not pull the trigger anytime soon, Creme is going to take a free top tier turret, which entices Flandre to answer him right now. So now it's a 4-on-4, and you don't have your main front line in for anyone's legend.
Creme is basing. Wonder where he's going to TP to on his way back. Is Flandre going to join the team now? I don't love... Top Esports just gave away a lot of space there with Creme arriving late. I think that Creme is going to have to go all the way around now to find a flank.
Fengyue, flashback to Storm, looking in, equalizer right over the top, but Hope is out of the death zone there. Third dragon goes over to Top Esports, but here's the heroic entrance in the Cataclysm. Creme looking for the backline right now. Kael getting brought insanely low. Hope is being bought space, but NaiYou flashes in, tries to give him a couple more bonk sticks, and the rest of anyone's legend are just going to sacrifice Hope to the win. They're going to look for the next play onto JiaQi instead, but Tarzan too low, can't sustain with the Sundered Sky procs, and Shanks just cannot supply the damage to follow up on the play. Top Esports win big in the Dragon River.
Get the dragon too, as I think this really swings the game in Top's advantage now. And the big difference for me in that fight was Hope was forced out, but also that collapse in the back half. I do think that if Tarzan's in this realm warp, they might have been able to turn it around. He might have clicked out. Nice engage from Fengyue. Gets the party started. Good equalizer from 369. Kael gets a nice cancel, though, and they actually find MF. I thought that this could have been the part of the fight where it's big, but JiaQi still has his flash up, so he's able to reset the fight. After this, NaiYou gets Hope, but look at the realm warp cast by Shanks and Tarzan trying to get there, and Creme just gets out, but barely anything. I really thought that if Tarzan was able to get out, it's a maybe, and I don't know how he didn't hop in that realm warp, sincerely. I know that I was talking about the clicks for the last one, Flandre. Tarzan looked like he was smack dab in the middle of that realm warp to me, and didn't end up following along the train. So I think that re-engage might have been there for AL if Tarzan was in that realm warp, but given that he was not, yeah, convincing fight in Top's favor in this game, fully in their control.
If I had a nickel for every time I saw a realm warp not be successfully taken, I'd have 2 nickels, which it's not a lot, but it is strange that anyone's legend has fallen victim to it now twice. Uh-oh, another combo. JiaQi rips and Kael is trying to get away from now. Tarzan immediately turns on to Creme, but the perfect execution gets out of the Cataclysm, deletes Kael, and Shanks is the next one to fall, and Creme is A-okay to walk out of the fight. Top Esports still rocking with all 5, and they're going to try their luck at this Baron.
I really think that when AL looks at this game again, they're going to want to look at that Grub fight and how they threw this one away. Because they had this game snowballing in their favor with a lot of momentum. I think that once Top got that foothold, I mean, Top played this one out well. Creme, good comeback game this time around, and NaiYou's had a really solid game, Raafaa. This has been a really good look for NaiYou.
He has managed to stay alive in every near-death encounter this game so far. That's the Baron secured for Top Esports, and a 7,000 gold advantage.
Same terrain that AL lost a fight around earlier. If they just get the Shanks actually got caught up just barely in that bullet time. Another good engage from Fengyue, who also, I think, has had one of his better days so far today, Raafaa. It's been a struggle for Fengyue so far in Group Ascend, but I didn't think he was the problem in Game 1, and a couple of these roll engages have been very nice, straightforward, and sound for Top Esports in Game 2. We're going to catch out Kael, and he's going to fall.
Oh, no. The roll more from Shanks. Not in time to try and bail out his support, but I don't know if Shanks could have done much to save him anyway. It looked like Kael was just in no man's land, going up that far, trying to look for vision control. But I can understand the sentiment. It's a minute and 30 away from what could be Mountain Soul for Top Esports. And if they don't get vision now, it's going to be way too hard once Top Esports are able to push in all these side lanes and have full control of this bottom side jungle. Tarzan looking for it.
Okay.
Cataclysm right onto NaiYou, but he just clone dashes out of it. Here comes a response TP with Creme. NaiYou spinning with the Cyclone. Creme immediately looks for the backline. Shuriken does not quite connect, but he looks for Flandre instead anyway, as well as Kael. And both of the frontline members for anyone's legend are gone. Top Esports is going to take this opportunity to push in, open up the base. Not sure if they're going to try to go for the game end, but they have a free window to look at the Mountain Soul if they want to afterwards. But look at this, Matt. They want to push. They want to go all the way for the end. Found Fengyue, Flash Magnet Storm finds Hope, and this could just be it.
GG's.
Top Esports looking for the win with all 5 pushing in. Game 3 is on the horizon, folks, and it's Top Esports pushing anyone's legend to the brink. Kael comes back from the grave, tries to save the game, but Tarzan gets dropped alongside the rest of them. GG, well played. We're going to Game 3.
Really nice game from Fengyue, who I think for me is probably the pog of that one. Him and NaiYou, that's the best game I've seen from them so far this split, Raafaa, going up against AL. That Grub fight, Tarzan went in, that was risky, no knowledge. I think AL really played into the exact fight that Top Esports wanted in that game, and they didn't look back from there. AL threw away their lead, they were playing from behind. I think this was a comp that spiked earlier than what we saw on the side of Top Esports, and Top took advantage of that.
Like you echoed earlier, Matt, Anyone's Legend are really going to be kicking themselves in the foot off of how the way the Grub fight played out. I don't know if it was like a sense of false confidence, given how the first 4 kills of the game kind of just seemingly went their way off of some jungle surfing from Tarzan and the 2v2 successful all-in from Hope and Kael early on to set it up. But, I mean, Top Esports still played their strongest hand at the Grubs, which was having a majority of their members be level 6, ready for the Wombo combo, and Anyone's Legend, just quite frankly, were not respecting it enough as they probably should have.
Yeah, I was impressed by Fengyue that game. I think that, again, for me, he's really struggled. I think that he arguably has been the weakest player that we've seen in Group Ascend so far. And I've not felt that way in the 2 games today, going up against AL and Kael. I think that that's, again, this guy for me is playing to play with JiaQi down the road. That's a huge opportunity for any support in the league. And so, you know, you're going to have to prove your stuff with JiaQi in. This has been the first series for me where I have seen more positives than negatives from Fengyue. So that's good news for Top, and a nice game from them. I do think that I'm still concerned about both side lanes dying early and it being the 4-0 start for AL. AL, they could have snowballed that one. I think they're going to won that one back a little bit around the Grubs, but don't want to take too much away from Top Esports that did find some really good fights and engages in that game.
This is Top Esports' last series of the first round robin. So for them to, if they can rally behind this Game 2 win and pull off an upset against Anyone's Legend, this makes Group Ascend going into our second round of the round robin extremely, well, I'm going to say interesting, but also low-key funny, because it kind of erases a lot of our preseason expectations of how this group was supposed to kind of come down to. I think a lot of us had Top Esports with this roster being near 5th, 6th at the bottom, and I mean, yeah, me too, right?
Item 6.
So, but if Top Esports come back in Game 3, show similar performances, I don't know if it's going to be enough to be a win. And Anyone's Legend are the type of opponents where if you kind of clown them off of a massive mistake that they make, usually, not always, usually, they overcorrect it and they close out the series in victory. But it's something nice for Top Esports to look at and be like, hey, this is what happens when our jungle and support are in sync. This is the promise that we kind of had when we saw the moments of brilliance they had in the LDL for Split 1 last year.
Yeah, I mean, of course, these guys were the duo that I believe NaiYou was MVP and won a lot of all-pro votes. Sending that one in blind in the fog, a little risky for me. And again, just a beautiful ultimate from 369. Found Shanks on the back half over the wall, too. That's how well that thing was placed. As 369, that first pick Rumble, really cashed in that fight. And I mean, the other thing I might want to look into if I was AL, I mean, if we're going to put our tinfoil caps on, it's not that tinfoil cap to look at some of the realm warps and kind of scratch our heads a bit as to some teammates that weren't joining. I think that one was the one where the most to me like Flandre was actually out of the realm warp and not in, but where Tarzan was in later on, I have no idea how he wasn't in that realm warp.
Those are the kind of moments where I'm genuinely surprised that there wasn't like a pause called to investigate, like, hey,
it's
like,
Split 1, man. Who cares that? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm actually a bit surprised that there wasn't a pause called either. But
like for the first one, sure, but for the second one, I'm with you. That looked insanely suspect.
Freak, Drew, help us.
Freak, Riot.
Help us. Shout out to Freak. I do want to praise Riot and the balance team. I know this season was a lot of risks and different direction, and as a purist of the game that's been a fan since season 2, I do miss lane swaps. But I think that the solution with quests that they've actually put out to really help curb potential lane swaps was quite good, unique, intuitive. And I think that the reception from players has been pretty good so far in the season. It's been, for me, I think the speed of the game and feeling like I can throw my weight a little bit, or throw more of my weight around as an individual more in fights, It's been nice. I know home guard consequences, like early kills, it is weird how it feels like kills can be impactful, but also they aren't given home guards. But I think that means that Riot did a nice job with the balance. Yeah, I don't know how Tarzan wasn't in that one. Do you think that Riot's did a nice job?
Yeah. Something was up with the Realm Warp interactions this game, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles.
You know, this fight that AL tried, Raafaa, I didn't talk at all before this because I really thought that we'd have a quiet part of the game, and AL just decided to send it and lose in peace. Like, we talked enough. We want to get to game 3 and see what's up, guys. Yeah.
Get me out.
Yeah.
You know, there have been times where something has gone disastrously wrong for anyone's legend, and the way that Tarzan proceeds to play out the rest of the game, it almost looks like he's just ready to just go to the next game.
You know what? You got to get shutdowns if you want to come back on League of Legends. He's not wrong about that. That fight was bad, though. You're not finding any shutdowns in that fight. Yeah, it was not defined.
I have very funny memories of the game where Kael butchered an Alistar combo in the river, and it just looked like Tarzan was tilted off the face of the earth for the rest of the game. But NaiYou does end up picking up player of the game. I think it's kind of hard to argue against a deathless Wukong, and especially when it's a jungler getting the better of Tarzan. That kind of swings the narrative that way. But I think it's deserved that Fengyue does get a shout out for honorable mention.
Tarzan did give a nice gift to Grubs that made the game easier for NaiYou. I thought Fengyue was the one that had some more impactful plays, but pound for pound, NaiYou probably had a better game. He had a nice game. And hey, the fact that we're talking about both of the LDL players from BLG that did win a split last year and find their way onto this top esports squad, did so together. As MVPs, they're winning end of the year accolades in terms of all pro votes too. It is nice to see young players be successful. And while top esports have had some struggles in this early season so far, very successful game. The best one we've seen so far from NaiYou and Fengyue, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And because of that, we're going to go to a game 3. So when we come after this break, when we're, oh my gosh. Oh, you know, the games today are catching me by surprise. After this break, we'll be back with game 3